Hello, again, 5-year Korean update, coming right at you. So, this is not going to be a video about me and my language learning journey. It's more going to be a video about my Korean living journey. However, I will include some language learning aspects since I'm due a 5-year update on Korean learning. Actually, to be honest with you, I stopped learning Korean after about 2.5 to 3 year mark, but it's nice to update the community on where I am physically, spiritually, mentally, all of it. So we're going to get into it today. And there's a lot of realizations. There's a lot of big, epic changes that I need to share on the internet for some reason. Now, why don't I start with the biggest one? I am into meditation. I've been meditating for about 5 years. I look like a monk right now, but that's not really got anything to do with it. One day on meditation, I basically achieved what they call a spiritual awakening. You know, I sat down, there I was for 20 minutes, just breathing in and out, doing the thing as I normally do. And then after that, I put on this podcast by Sam Harris about, I think it's like the illusion of the self or the illusory self. I was listening to a bit of that. And then as I went to go and type stuff on my computer, just sort of, I wasn't really fully conscious. I was like, I felt awake, but I wasn't like, damn, I really know exactly what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, everything just felt like super connected. Like the whole world is one. I'm just this big ocean, and there's a wave called George right now showing up, doing his people thing. You know, just as the ocean waves, the universe peoples. That's another quote. But I was peopling in the moment. And it was like, dang, well, I'm all connected. Everything's one. Love is everything at the core. And it's just like, wow, some crazy moment of like 5 to 10 minutes. Probably not even that. Probably like, just 5 minutes of me just like really sort of tripping out. Not even tripping out, because I was there in the moment, right? I was like stood here. You can imagine you have like your peripheral awareness. And then it just feels intense. Like there's just flowing. I can't describe it really, kind of, because it's very unique to each individual. But that happened, okay? And then that just completely baseball batted my sense of self and ego and all of that out the window. I mean, I've not completely lost my ego. I'm still here, don't worry. But it really put into perspective life, living, and all this stress and troubles that I've been having in my life. I was like, okay, wow, snap. I guess spirituality really is the bee's knees. I need to get into that. I need to learn about that. So it's been a bit of a journey of discovering what they call non-duality, okay? Non-separation. Everyone goes about their life thinking they're a separate self. They're a person who is just trapped inside a bag of skin, and that's who they are. But when you get into these sort of Buddhist, Hindu, Taoist, Shinto teachings, you start to uncover a lot of that, and you go, oh, actually, the identity that I thought I was isn't really me. It's just a story, a narrative that was put onto me by the world, and who we really are is the grand cosmic consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it. And again, that's kind of taboo in our culture. If you start saying like, oh, I'm God, you're God, we're all God, like, well, what are you talking about? Chill out. I won't go as far to preach, because you can only preach to other egos, but essentially that's sort of where I am spiritually. Like everything's connected. Oh damn, the self isn't really real, so let's just spread love and be kind to everybody. That's where I've gone with that. Okay, and this isn't a spiritual like enlightenment guide or anything like that. I'm not enlightened myself. It's just I had to get that out here before we jump into where I've gone after that, because without that sort of background, none of this really makes sense. So that's what happened maybe a couple months ago. And then it's been a roller coaster from there. A couple years ago, when I first came to Korea, I was sort of chasing a fantasy. I thought Korea would be one way. It wasn't such a way, but I decided to live it anyway and enjoy the ride. And I tried to be a videographer at one point. I was taking video and I thought, that's where I really want to be. I'm a videographer, I'm a photographer, I'm a video guy, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do editing, media degree, I'm gonna be a YouTuber, I'm gonna do all this. And then I got like sort of close. I almost signed a deal with this YouTuber called Ryu Jonglan in Korea, and then that fell apart at the last minute. And I was like, oh shit, I guess I'm not a video man. I'm just boring old George who goes to school and studies Korean. Korean's my thing. So I just let go of that. I was like, nope, media, video, not for me, done. So then along that way, I was like, damn it, man, why is nothing really working out for me? I guess I'll get into computers. I guess I'll get into computer science. So I learned Linux. I learned Arch Linux, had a little bit of sparring practice with coding. I mean, I did actually do boxing and sparring stuff, but that's another extra thing. But that was sort of during the red pill movement thing online, where everyone's like, you should be more masculine. So I tried that, but yeah, whatever. And I got to the point where I was like really non-conformist. You might have seen a few previous videos ago. I had a beard, shaved head. I still have a shaved head now. I was really like anti. I was like, no, the government's watching us. Surveillance is real. Well, it is real, but it's like really important. And I used Graphene OS on my phone. I was only using Linux. I didn't have any home internet. I didn't want to fit in with anybody. I was like, screw you if you think you're different. I'm going to wear all black clothes. I'm going to be this other identity over here. And then since the awakening I just talked about, that identity just got blown to pieces as well. So I find myself in this mind and body, in this country that I sort of came here because, like, for superficial reasons, because I was into the media and things like that. And now I'm here with 18 months to graduate in a media degree, and it's all very absurd, is it not? Now, what has really helped me? So the last couple of weeks, I was like sort of spiraling. I was going from like super conformist mode, like, oh yeah, I got to use Instagram, got to dress a certain way, just like the Koreans, fit in everywhere. And I might put a picture of me on screen, I might not, of how I look then. And then I went, no, shit, man, because my original thing was, I'm trying to go the full way. If I don't go the full way, I can't be free. I need to fully conform to Korea, and then they'll just accept me. And then I was like, no, man, they really got to me. The Matrix got to me. I need to unplug. And then I unplugged, I shaved my head like I did now, went full on monk mode again, and I found I wasn't happy, and then I was spiraling out of control, and it's all just this complete mess of like my ego just sort of shattering down. And it's not like I've lost it, but it's just been like on crack, my ego of like identity or who I thought I was. And I'm slowly starting to realize, okay, I think I know who I really am deep down, but in terms of this mind, body, and this nervous system right here, what's going on with that, I found out the truth that I already knew, which is that I'm actually a neurodivergent individual, which means my nervous system is different from a stereotypical normie, which means environments like Korea, which are high social pressure, fast pace, high stimulus, a lot of social friction for people like me. Those sorts of environments are not good for my well-being. I was like, oh, that's why I wasn't feeling too great. That's why, going to clubs and nightlife doesn't really feel right for me. That's why I feel a bit lost. That's also why when I started meditating and I was like, oh, the self isn't real. There's no point having goals and routines, throw out away structure. That's why I was like, oh my God, my nervous system can't handle it, because my nervous system likes structure. And a lot of these truths might not be true for anyone else who's watching who's not got a similar condition or whatever, but it does help to know what sort of mind and body you're inhabiting right now and trying to live in accordance with that without denying it. So I was sort of denying that for a while. And it does make sense because people with like autism, Asperger's, neurodivergence tend to get very obsessed with one thing in their life. It's like they have one special interest, I think they call it. And mine was Korean for a while, and then it sort of died off because I was like, oh shit, this place kind of sucks. It's not I hated it all, but like there was a lot of friction. And lately, like in the last few months, I was like, damn, I need to get out of Korea. This place is not right for me. I chose the wrong country. I regret my life. Why did I come here? I was getting down that path. Now I'm like, okay, I don't really regret it. I've got 18 months till I graduate. Perhaps this isn't the best environment for me, but I need to now carve out a path for me where I can be in a low friction, low stimulus environment that actually caters to my needs and my well-being, rather than getting overly plugged into the matrix and suffering because of that, right? So that's where I find myself. I don't know if any other people are in a similar position. If you are, please feel free to contact me. But that's sort of like the speed run of the 5-year update. And I stopped learning Korean because I just didn't really resonate with more. It's kind of like 2 years ago, I stopped resonating with the AJAT philosophy in general, consuming media all day. And I was like on a mini self-improvement arc where I thought consuming media is bad. You've got to read books and only listen to audiobooks to get the real stuff that really teaches you knowledge, and make gains, only go to the gym, eat healthy, and all this. And all of that is great, but striving for goals and self-improvement, again, this is connecting back to the spiritual awakening stuff I found, none of that will make you happy because you're looking for happiness outside the present moment, outside of what's already here, outside of who you already are, and you're already whole as you are. So why would you need anything more than that, right? Now, that doesn't mean don't do anything. You should still be and do stuff, but don't do it with the expectation of achieving X is going to make you happy, right? That's a big sort of truth that just sort of uppercutted me on the chin very recently. So nowadays, I'm doing things, but I'm not doing it to get anywhere. It's sort of like doing the dance. It's doing the practice. It's showing up to, I don't know, like sword fighting. Well, I don't know why I thought that. But like, what do people do? Like martial arts training, you show up, you do your kata or whatever, and then that's it. You're not trying to get anywhere with it. If growth happens and progress happens, that's great, that's nice. But ultimately, the self isn't real. So I don't know where you're trying to get with that. You could be that big ego lifter and be super jacked, be a super bodybuilder, have, I don't know, loads of women, loads of money, loads of status, fame, all of that, right? But none of that really taps into the inner peace. None of that is real in the sense that all you're doing is inflating your ego, but your ego is just essentially God or consciousness or whatever putting on a mask. So do what you will with that information, but that's sort of like the conclusion I've gotten to. Now, what that means for me in my day-to-day life as of lately, as a neurodivergent, spiritual, young blood, I don't know what is it. I have stopped using Linux. I've stopped being that based Arch Linux user, being the monk who just like threw away home internet for a while. Jesus, I don't know why. I've gone back to using Windows. I've realized that I like aesthetics, UI, sensory input. Now I've got some lemon water right now. It's just like, some different stuff like this. I'm using Windows. I'm using Notion again. Like, oh my God, I had a whole period of where I wasn't using offline or anything that wasn't compatible offline, because I was like, what if I get caught out in the woods somewhere and I need to immerse in Korean or immerse in Japanese or something like that, right? That's sort of where I've gone. I've gone not full conformist mode, not full non-conformity, but just me, meeting myself where I am in this environment, trying to make things right in this chaos that I find myself in, just carving out a little bit of order where I can. And I think that is the real solution to a lot of life's problems, perhaps even for people who are just normal and find themselves in very strange situations. Because all this really is just consciousness flowing, right? And it's consciousness, and there's this mind and body here in this nervous system which you're inhabiting right now. Okay, you're watching a video maybe on your phone, on your TV, and you're looking out this peripheral awareness, and you're seeing a bald guy, telling you a bunch of shit on the screen, right? But from that experience, you need to realize that you never leave. You never leave that bubble of consciousness. So it really makes sense to care for that mind, body, and that nervous system. It really makes sense to, relax, not stress too much, slow down, unplug, man. Because all of this striving, this goal chasing, this grasping to be someone, ultimately just distracts you from who you really are. And I recognize that talking about, who you really are in our culture is actually a huge taboo. Like, if you just go around saying like, actually, we're all God with masks, actually everything's just consciousness, people don't really like to hear that. People think you've sort of fallen off the rails or gone crazy or whatever. And again, I'm not preaching here. I'm just sort of telling it how it is for me. I don't really care if anyone else believes it or not. Because you can only preach of egos, man. And saying a lot of this is actually kind of boosting my ego. So I'm going to bring it back down a little bit, namaste. Yeah. This was supposed to be a 5-year update on career. This is just 5-year update on me turning 22 and realizing a lot of deep truths that I would not have realized perhaps if the situation was different. So I guess I don't know if there's a moral of the story. It's like, meditate, man. You should meditate. And it's okay. A lot of your suffering, I don't want to say it's self-created, but when you realize who you really are, you just come back to the self, come home, a lot of the suffering starts to drop. So we'll move on here from, this is where I'm at now, and this is sort of now future orientated. This is what I am doing currently and also where I want to be heading. So I got 18 months till I graduate. I signed up to a media degree in Korea. South Korea. And apparently when I graduate, my degree is recognized internationally. So I don't need to do a master's or a graduate, which is nice if I want to get employed. Lately, I've been experimenting. What do I actually like? Media, video editing, somewhat fun, somewhat interesting. I'm looking at doing HTML, CSS sort of website, making coding sort of thing. That sounds interesting too. I had an arc where I think, I don't know if did I mention it? I took the double major in computer science and I dropped out. And I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but basically I thought I'd just go and be a programmer. Now I'm like, I don't know, programming is kind of fun, but I'm not really mathematically inclined and I really need things to be sensory and aesthetically pleasing for me to calm down in my own nervous system. And I'm not trying to strive to just make money. I want to do what I want to do to enjoy life, to create art, to be creative, to exist and express this ultimate grand self that's running through everything and consciousness everywhere. My content has changed quite a lot and I love it. I'm feeling good, you know? It's good to know who you are and it reduces a lot of stress and suffering. But now let's actually get into career specific stuff before I, just levitate or something like that. With Korea, the environment being very high stress, and even now there's drilling going on outside, there's helicopters flying over my building. I am trying to carve out the spaces that work for me and my mind. That means going to cafes where it's quiet, low stimulus, going out into nature where I can. Unfortunately, nature parks in Korea, they always have like these announcements going on, like 여러분 조심하셔야 됩니다, or like something like, pack away your tents. You can't park here, can't smoke here, can't do this, can't do that. On public announcements, like my Matrix is talking to me when I'm just trying to be with the trees, bro. And that's like a sort of a downside. So luckily I've got my headphones. I've even got them with me right now. So I'm just noise cancelling headphones, just boop, pop those on and I'm good to go. I'm game. Another change that's sort of happened in my life is I've gone back to using tools that are actually aesthetically pleasing. I used to use Linux. I still use it occasionally, but I've let go of the identity of being tapped into surveillance, and now I'm using like a Windows laptop. So I don't really care if big tech is monitoring me. What's more important is my well-being, and the surveillance stuff. Well, that's just the price I have to pay. That's sort of how that's changed. Also in Korea, university-wise, classes, I don't feel like I'm learning a lot, so I'm trying to teach myself skills, and the best skill is the one that I enjoy doing, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm enjoying doing. So there's that I'm playing with. Socially, relationships-wise, I'm sort of now not cutting people out, but realizing who's actually not really helpful for me. I used to be friends with people who are, how should I say, very free souls, but also super chaotic. Like I had this guy with like a neck tattoo telling me, he's a Korean guy, telling me like, how the Matrix is real and he's going to go move to Africa and we need an anarchy, F the government, all of this stuff, which is not really what you'd hear a typical Korean person say. These sorts of people are fun, but ultimately not really aligned because I need that structure, baby. I need that calm, that peace. Also, I realized after my meditation practice and that realization that I really thrive on structure. I really need a routine. A guy like me needs to plan out his day. If I don't do that, my nervous system gets anxious. So that's very useful to know going forward, because in Korea, it can be a little bit chaotic outside. There's cars and, well, I'm talking about Seoul specifically, but generally in Korea it's quite busy. People are often on their phones, they're playing these social games where they're comparing each other to this sort of image they see online. It's all very status-based and cliquey, and in-group, out-group dynamics are huge. And for a guy like me, I can't be a part of that. So I'm just trying to navigate it the best I can. Okay, I think I'll probably leave it there. I guess this hasn't been too much about Korea, more about my own development, but I'm in Korea, so I guess that counts. If there's anything that you actually want to specifically know, if you think, oh, okay, Giorgio, you're in Korea, what about this certain aspect? What about that? What about your plans for this and that? You could let me know in the comments, or just let me know somehow, and I'll actually address that video, because I think I could probably share a lot of data for people who are trying to come here or who are interested in this lifestyle or in Korea in general. But I don't really know what people want. So if you give me a suggestion, I'll actually be able to communicate that with you. Other plans, I've been interested lately in learning an L3, potentially Japanese, because the one I resonate the most with sort of aesthetically, and the media is quite interesting. But I'm not too committed, because it's like, I don't know if I really want to spend all my time age-atting and then getting to a really high level only to find out that the cultural environment is not as right for me. Through my own research, it does seem that Japan is probably a little bit better for a neurodivergent mind like myself, but I can't know. It's a bit of a gamble. The UK is my only other option at the moment, which it's okay, but I don't know. Maybe somewhere like the Netherlands. That looks like a good place to go after I graduate. But fundamentally, I'm just trying to focus on carving out some well-being where I am right now. So, I just wanted to mention one other thing. Like, I got this SSD, right? Having your files, bro, on a separate hard drive, all your files on a separate hard drive, and then just plugging that into the computer you use or the machine you use. Best decision ever. Do that. Definitely get into that, because you can just go anywhere. You've got all your files, and then whatever the setup, even if your computer breaks, something crashes, you've got your files on that hard drive. And also you want to back that up, obviously, but that's been a huge improvement. Very epic. I just wanted to put that in the video for some reason, just in case anyone is like me. I've started using Notion again. I don't know how long that will last, but yeah, planning, routine, calm spaces, calm environment is what I'm all about. I think I'll end it there before I have some energy attack. I don't have ADHD or anything, but today has been very high energy, high frequency. I quite enjoyed it. Next time, you can join me escaping the matrix, going into nature, and just unplugging completely and just getting into the high frequency and escaping the system. I don't know, but I hope you enjoyed. I hope this had some value, and let me know what you would like to hear. If there's anything that I can actually tell you and give you some insider information on, that will help you and benefit your life. If you're having a bad time right now, just breathe, meditate, recognize it's okay, we're all connected, spread love, the interconnectedness of everything will ultimately just play its course. So it's okay. And if it's not okay right now, it hasn't ended yet. So just hang in there, buddy. See ya. Peace.